Yeah. All right. Next year I want to add 10 more bench pictures to this wall.
Bench presses, you were saying? You're going to do 10 bench presses?
Come on, Murphy. If I can do 10 of those, I'll be fine.
Why does that even happen?
I'll do it this way. So you guys write this out. No, I printed out a couple of these real quick.
That's a good idea.
To kind of show you guys how you go through work.
Thanks.
You'll grab a couple more of these guys. So what I want to look at here is this first problem. I'm going to walk you through how you set up and disseminate the information out of the problem. What do you need? One more? All right, so now, as I said yesterday, or leading up to these things, come on guys, a lot of these problems tend to be a lot worrier than they need, and you see that a lot in math. Math word problems are awful. It's just a matter of, can you get the information out of it to set up and solve the problem. So if you read through this, we're talking about an airline who sells two different seat styles, business class and tourist class. To charter the plane, they have to have at least 5 business class tickets and at least 9 tourist class tickets sold. The plane does not hold more than 30 passengers. They make a profit of $40 for each business class and a profit of $45 for the tourist. In order for Fly High Airlines to maximize profits, how many tourist class seats should they sell? So, when you read through that, what is the objective of the problem? Profits. In this case, if you look at it,
25.
their idea is, in order to maximize profits. So your profits are what you're trying to do as your objective function, your constraint, if you will. So your profit is what you're trying to find. That's what you're going to find after you graph. You're going to substitute into this value. Now go back into the problem. There were 2 types, business and tourist. Label them, a B and a T. What was the profit of a business?
40.
40. So $40 times your business plus, what was it, 45 for your tourist. Okay. Now, that's your objective function. That's what you're going to use at the very end. Now you're going to come up with all of your constraints. What is it bounded by? Are you ever going to have negative business or negative tourist tickets? No. So it's a first quadrant problem. So we know that your business class will always be greater than or equal to 0. Same with the tourist seats will be greater than or equal to 0. I'm just starting with this, okay? Because a lot of times you don't have that other information. But if you go back into the problem, it says that at least 5 has to be sold. At least, is that a greater than or equal to or less than or equal to?
Greater.
It's greater than or equal to. So what I'm going to do here, instead of saying it just being at 0, it's got to be at least 5. Sometimes it works like that where you don't have to worry about the 0 being a lower boundary. Okay? Sometimes it might be a different value. And we do the same thing with the tourist thing. How many did you have to have at least? 9. So we know that you have to sell at least 5 of those and 9 of the others to get the plane to go. Well, how many seats are on the plane?
30.
30. So what do the 2 have to add up to equal?
Less than or equal to 30.
Less than or equal.
Very good. Business plus tourist has to be less than or equal to 30. See how that worked?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have everything in there? Okay. Now we do what we did yesterday. You plot it out very simply to see your intersection values. Good question. Does it matter? It doesn't. It really doesn't. To be honest with you, what I do is I put the first letter, alphabetically on the x-axis, and then I put the second letter on the y-axis because x comes before y. And as long as you're consistent with it, it doesn't make a difference. It really doesn't. And you'll notice a lot of times when I do my notes on these things and I do these problems, I label them. Just do that. So your business class has to be greater than or equal to 5. Vertical, going that way. So here's 5. You okay on that?
Yeah, do we count it out?
You don't need to. A lot of times you don't need to. Same thing with tourists. Tourists, it has to be greater than or equal to 9. So right now we have the intersection at that one point of where things start to occur. We okay with that? What's that point? 5, 9. Very good. Now the other thing is you have to plot out your intercepts for the b plus t is less than or equal to 30. What are your intercepts?
30 and 30.
30 and 30. And 0. It depends on how your scale was. You can get it pretty messy here. One of my suggestions when you're doing these problems is if you have a setup like this where you have two things that add up to equal 30 or two things that equal 50 or something like that, and then you have other parameters that are just singular values, plot the one that has both variables in it first, and that kind of winds up being the furthest one out, and then you can scale everything back. Sometimes it's a little bit more helpful. Yes, sir?
Oh, we can scale wrong, and then you like go through a different line that's not supposed to.
You can still see how it goes, because I did that on one of my problems when I was working on these last night for some of the other ones, and I realized when I plotted the point, I'm like, wait, that can't be there. It's got to be on the other side because of the numerical value of it. So you can kind of go back and refudge the line, if you will. It happens. I have erasers if you need one. Okay. So we know then, at this point, it's working inward, so if we create this little triangle there, are we okay with that? I also know what the x and the y coordinates are for the other 2 points because one's vertical, one's horizontal. What's the x coordinate here? 5. What's the y coordinate here? 9.
Which equation did you go back into?
Which equation did they run into? They ran into that one, didn't they?
Yeah.
So 5 plus what is 30? What plus 9 is 30? Those are your 3 ordered pairs. Your 3 ordered pairs are at 5, 9, 5, 25, and 21, and 9. So those are the 3 points that you substitute into your profit objective, if you will, to see which one works, which one gives you the maximum value. So in order to maximize profits, how many tourist class seats should they sell? Well, if you substitute in all of them, which one of those 3 gives you the most money? I don't know. I haven't done the math yet. All I did was to plot the points.
At this point, you can also just use deductive reasoning.
A lot of times it works, but be careful when the numbers are close.
Yeah, but because the multiple choice question really.
Not always does it work like that, though. It could have been one of the others. I know what you're getting at, but just be careful.
So are we going to be able to use a calculator then?
Well, you can't multiply by yourself?
No.
Man, I've got you guys scared to death with this whole calculator, don't I?
I don't have my calculator out anyway.
I got it. First thing that's
They're
good.
gonna like count on my fingers.
It's 5 and 25.
It is. So how many tourist seats should they sell? 25.
How'd you get 5 and 25?
When you substitute them all in, Izzy, you'll notice that this one gives you the maximum value of profit. That's your biggest number for the profit when you substitute into here.
Yeah.
So they're just asking for you, remember the ordered pairs go business class, tourist class, so as long as you kept that consistent with B first and then T, then you'd be all right. And that's kind of the trick here. When you go to put a problem like this together, you want to label things out correctly to make sure it works. Okay?
Wait, so also the money thing?
Not the money was the answer. The money was able to tell you which one of those gave you the maximum. The answer was which one of those, how many tickets of the tourist class should you sell? Okay? So I'm assuming that wasn't so scary. Right? Okay. Let's look at the fourth one. Ronaldo. The fourth one. Reynaldo Electronica. Manufacturers, radios, and tape players. I'm sure you guys all have tape players, right?
Yeah.
I still have a Walkman.
Nice. Did you have the original Walkman where you had to open it up, you had to expand it to fit a tape? I got one of those. I don't have it
Well,
anymore.
I think I still one around my house somewhere.
They're
I don't know
awesome.
where it went.
I remember when I got my first Discman, you had to walk around with a CD player. Those, you have any idea how expensive a CD player, portable CD player was? Like $150.
What?
When I was in high school, it was really rare that anybody had a portable CD player. I mean, I was lucky that was able to get a CD player for my car.
You're walking around the hallway with it on your shoulder.
No, it wasn't a boombox. It was like a Walkman that was a CD player.
I was picturing a boombox.
No.
It's
That's all my Walkman
like a
is.
circle thing like this big, and you put it in the CD.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it had anti-skip protection.
Yeah, when you
Nice.
go jogging.
You know, you couldn't jog with it, you could barely walk with it. You were lucky that you were sitting at a desk and it wouldn't skip. But it was awesome because it had mega bass boost.
Oh,
My
yeah.
Walkman sucks because
Yeah, you could do that. Anyway, so the manufacturing plant has the capacity to manufacture at most 600 radios and 500 tape players. It costs the company $10 to make a radio and $12 to make a tape player. The company can spend $8,400 to make the products. Reynaldo Electronica makes a profit of $19 on each radio and $12 on each tape player. To maximize profits, how many of each product should they manufacture? So what's their objective? Profit. So let's develop the profit objective function again. I'm going to use P because we're talking about profit. Could you use C like you did yesterday? It's fine, doesn't matter. Since we know that they're talking about profit, let's use P. We're talking about two things, radios and tape players. What variable should I use? R and T. How much profit do I make on a radio? So like 19 times R plus 12 times T for my tape player. You okay on that? All right. Hey, Reynaldo, give way. No, because I just wanted to. Soup. All right. So we go back to the beginning then. It says that they can make at most 600 radios. So is that the most they can make or the least they can make? The most. So if you're going to say for radios, it's got to be, can they make 600?
Yes.
So it's less than or equal to 600. Can they make negative radios?
No.
Can they make 0 radios?
Yes.
So is there a lower boundary here?
Less than or equal or greater than or equal.
Yeah.
Could you make it the same thing? Like, same one?
Yes, if you want to do a compound inequality, perfect. Because there was a problem like that last night. That's fine. If you want to do it that way or list them separately, it's no big deal. Okay. Same thing with their tape players. Tape players, they said they can make at most 500 of them. So your tape player, less than or equal to 500, but it's got to be greater than or equal to 0. The next bit of information said that they had a limit on the amount of money they had to manufacture. Well, what was the most they could spend?
$8,400.
$8,400 was the most they could spend. So it's got to be at most, they have to spend less than or equal to $8,400. And then how much did each radio cost to make?
It costs.
10.
And how much did each tape player?
12.
So 10R plus 12 tape player. Yeah, Mike.
I have a question. How do R greater than or equal to 0 and T greater than or equal to 0?
Yeah.
Can you make a negative amount of radios?
No.
That's why. Does that, you see what I'm saying on that? Yeah, Jay.
Right, we didn't do it.
Why would they even
None
need
of
to
the
take
real-
players? They don't get any profit.
No, they make $12 in profit.
They make 12 bucks.
Say,
$12 a week.
but they profit $12.
Do they profit 12?
So
So they're
it's
selling,
$24.
yeah, they might be selling for 24. That's fine. And yeah, you're right. We had this discussion a lot last year with Leaf. Leaf brought this up when we did this. There's a problem that you guys will do, I don't know whether tonight or tomorrow, about crops. And so, well, that's stupid. And we got this whole argument about the whole thing. And when I told him that these are very basic problems you'll learn. If I don't know, have you guys taken econ yet?
Not yet.
You do a little bit of this kind of stuff with econ about how do you maximize profits and stuff like that. So this is kind of like, well, why would you want to do that? Well, there's studies and things that people would buy these. I mean, granted, I can't imagine, I don't know the last time I even held a cassette tape, let alone purchased a tape player. So, what's that? Or a tape, or a CD, really. I think I bought a CD.
I like CDs for the car.
Box
Yes.
scores somewhere.
So, but, now in this case, what do we do next?
You gotta draw it.
Graph it.
Graph it. I'm going to show you what I was talking about putting this one out first.
So can you say it's first?
I can say it's first quadrant, you're right. So let me put it on a separate screen here. I know it's got to be first quadrant. And the reason that's got to be first quadrant is because it's greater than or equal to 0, but less than 600, greater than or equal to 0, less than or equal to 500. What comes first in the alphabet, R or T? You can't just jump and go Q, R, S, T.
No,
you can't do that.
No, you gotta get A, B, C,
No,
D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, I tried doing outlines right here. I gotta count all the way down.
Okay. What I was talking about earlier, by placing the most ugly of the equations first, it's easier to do that because it might be easier to scale everything. In this one here, what was your... What is your R-intercept here?
800.
840. Okay. So my R-intercept is going to be at 840. What is my T-intercept?
You know,
700.
it's like
700.
700.
it's like a solid.
That's 700.
Yeah.
Wait, we actually not I can't do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, no,
You-
12 times 7
Oh, okay,
is
yeah, yeah,
84, and then.
All right, you don't need a calculator. That's totally fine. Guys, you're going to be able to use a calculator. Okay? It's okay. I'm not going to take a calculator from you on a case like this. It's all right.
Because I was spending the entire time trying to figure that out.
Really, you can't just knock out a 0 and say that's 7? Really?
That guy did.
Okay. Now, which way is this moving? It's moving inward or outward? Moving inward. Now, here's the reason why I was saying that it was easier to plot those first, because now I've got some sort of a scale to place my vertical and horizontal parameters. My R-intercept was at 600, so I'll put it here. And it's vertical, and it's got to be less than, so it's coming inward. My T-intercept was 500. And it's also moving inward. So we have intercept here, here, and here. So you have 5 points in this case. Yeah. And again, it's going to be relatively easy to figure out these two values since they're set on verticals and horizontals. So you already know an x-intercept, your x value, and a y value. This will be at 600, comma something. This will be at something, comma 500. All you have to do is take the values and substitute in here and here. So what is 600 times 10?
6,000,
What's 8,400 subtract 6,000?
2,400.
What's 2,400 divided by 12?
200.
Look,
I gotta say
you did it! You did it without a calculator.
Wait a second.
She did.
So,
I
this is instead of like doing the system equation.
You don't have to do systems in this case because you have single values. Because you have verticals and horizontals. When you have diagonals, then you'll have to worry about systems. Okay? These are set up in a way that you only have to worry about single variable. Okay? Not always this nice. The other one you have 500. So what's 12 times 500?
12 times 500.
6,000.
6,000.
Oh, so is it going to be at 200 again?
Or is it? Yeah, is it?
Yeah.
Is it 6,000?
I think it winds up being at 200 again, yeah.
No, it's at 240.
240?
Oh.
No, it's 1010.
Oh, 240.
She grabbed her eraser and went, oh. So it's 240. So you've got those five. Sorry. I've got those 5 points then to test. When you test those 5 points, you'll be able to figure out what the maximum number of each one of those would be to sell or to manufacture.
Guaranteed 600, 200.
Okay. Does that make sense how I set that up?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you do next?
Well, what do you do next? Well, you have this profit setup that you did earlier. You're going to test it with that 0, 500, 0, 0, 600, 0, 600, 200, 240, 500. You test all those to see which one of those gives you the greatest profit.
Can I ask you like
Okay.
the ones that would obviously be?
Obviously, it's not 0.
Yeah.
And obviously, 0 and 500 and 0, 600 and 0 probably won't work.
Yep, no, it's not.
Yeah, but you're right. You never know. Stuff could happen.
I doubt
Okay,
it.
stranger things. Cats, dogs live together. Complete pandemonium. Did you see the bobcat eat a shark?
What?
What?
I saw this in the news this morning. A bobcat ran into the ocean in Florida and caught a shark
What the heck? Why is there a bobcat in the ocean?
because it was hungry.
wait, is the shark like?
Why are there a bob?
It was about that big, yeah, just like a little shark, and it was just swimming around. Bobcat saw a shark, said, "Here."
Is there a YouTube
That's
video?
so cute. Or breakfast.
For breakfast, could have been brunch.
Is there like a video for it?
I don't know.
You're so angry.
I told it.
Look at that. All right, here's what I want you to do tonight.
It almost sounds like a name when you say it.
Oh,
in a certain way. Is that the whole thing called brushing?
No.
Imagination.
What's that by? Like, do you give it
I used to go
Here's what I want you to do.
Wait, so just these products? $6 basket? Oh, gift basket. Are you serious? Bro, that could be $6. That almost is a $6 though.
All right, so I realized this after I ran this off that the breakfast bar problem, it says something like, the table below shows the number of machine hours. Well, I don't have that table, so you can't do that one. So basically, you're going to do the top two here.
What are these Y less than or greater than 5? What's that?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Oh, is that like the answer?
No, it has nothing to do with it. If this is called cut and paste, look for problems. So I want you to do the top two and then the bottom one. The bottom one's a lot of work for just really the very.
So not the machine one?
Don't worry about the machine one yet. We'll work on the machine one tomorrow. I'm going to show you a different way to set up. Although that one, the machine one's a little bit more complicated, as well as a couple on the sheet we looked at today. I'm going to kind of blend those together tomorrow with the more complex stuff, and then I'll give you the book ones probably tomorrow night. The book ones are tough.
Are we having quiz on
I don't know. We'll play it by ear. We'll play it by ear. All right?
I would die.